Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Today, we are diving into a really foundational philosophy for getting extraordinary results. It's this radical idea that success isn't about doing more things.
Right. It's about doing less, but doing the right one thing. It really is counterintuitive, especially today.
In our culture of just busy work.
Exactly. But there's an old Russian proverb that nails it. If you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. The goal is singularity. Find the one rabbit.
You know, it's funny how that kind of wisdom pops up in weird places. I always think of that movie, The Comedy City Slickers.
Oh, with Curly.
Yes, with Curly and Mitch. And Curly tells him the secret to life is just one thing.
And that's the whole premise we're exploring. It's called going small.
Going small.
It's a simple idea that the source material claims works all the time everywhere because it gets you to the point.
So when you go as small as possible.
You're left staring at one thing, and that one thing is the key.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore that power. We'll start by identifying and just dispelling what the book calls the 6 lies that derail us.
These are the myths we all believe, and once we get rid of those, we can introduce the simple tool, the focusing question, that helps you find your one thing.
Let's get into it.
So to really get this, you have to understand the domino effect. Extraordinary success is it's sequential, it's not simultaneous.
One thing after another.
Exactly. You do the right thing, and that makes the next right thing easier. It's like compound interest for your effort.
And the power of that is it's rooted in geometry, which is wild. I mean, Domino Day 2009 in the Netherlands.
Right. Scale of it.
They knocked down over 4 million dominoes.
Yeah.
The energy released was over 94,000 joules, just from one tiny push.
And the physics behind that is what's really fascinating. This physicist, Loren Whitehead, he discovered that a single domino can knock over another one that is 50% larger.
50%, not just one of the same size.
50% larger. And that's where you get this geometric progression that, you know, our brains aren't really built to grasp.
And when you start scaling that up, the numbers just get crazy. A 2-inch domino by the 18th one in the sequence is as tall as a person.
Keep going. The 23rd domino, it's taller than the Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
And get this, the 31st would loom over Mount Everest by almost 3,000 feet. Number 57 would almost bridge the gap between the Earth and the Moon.
That feels impossible.
It's just math, but it proves that you just need to find the right first domino to tip over.
And this isn't just a fun physics trick. It applies directly to how success actually works. In business, in life.
Absolutely. The biggest companies, they didn't start out trying to do 5 things okay. They did one thing exceptionally well.
Like KFC.
All built on one secret chicken recipe. Intel, microprocessors, Google's one thing. I mean, it's obviously search. Everything else is built on that platform.
Even a company like Apple, which seems so diversified now, they built it all sequentially.
Step by step. First Macs, then the big breakthrough with the iMac, then the iPod, then the iPhone. Each one thing created this halo effect that pulled people into their whole ecosystem.
Success builds on focused success.
And it's the same for people, you know? No one is really self-made. There's usually a one person who was that critical first domino.
A mentor or a partner.
Exactly. Walt Disney had his brother Roy handling the business side, so Walt could be the creative genius.
And Einstein had his mentor, Max Talmud.
For 6 years, guiding him, introducing him to all the ideas that shaped his thinking. Even the Beatles. They had George Martin, the 5th Beatle.
Right. He bridged that gap between their raw talent and the polished sound the world heard.
He was their first domino. It all comes back to finding that one thing or that one person that starts the chain reaction.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because before we can really use this idea, we have to unlearn all the bad advice we've picked up.
Mark Twain said it best, right? It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so.
And we know these 6 lies for sure. So, lie number 1, everything matters equally.
We all fall for this one. We have these massive to-do lists, and we think we have to just attack everything.
But in reality, achievement is never equal. This is the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle.
Right. 80% of your results will always come from 20% of your effort. So successful people are always hunting for that critical 20%.
But how do you find it? How do you stop just doing the easy tasks on the list?
You have to shift from a to-do list, which is really just the survival list, to a success list. A success list is built around one result.
This is like the example of the guitarist.
Exactly. He stopped trying to learn everything. He focused on one single thing.
Yeah.
the minor blues scale. And that one thing unlocked his ability to play classic rock solos. That was his 20%.
Okay, lie number 2, multitasking. We all do it, or we think we do.
We think we do. You can do 2 things at once, sure, but you can't focus effectively on 2 things at once. That's just divided attention.
And the cost is huge. The book mentions workers are interrupted every 11 minutes.
And spend a third of their day just recovering. Think about that. A third of your day is just getting back on track.
It's even scarier when you think about distracted driving.
Yeah.
Just having a phone conversation takes a 40% bite out of your focus.
Which is the same cognitive impairment as being legally drunk. It's just
Right.
we're dumbing down all the outcomes, as the author says.
Okay, lie number 3, a disciplined life. The idea that you have to be this perfect disciplined machine all the time.
Which is exhausting and totally false. Success is a sprint, not a marathon. You just need enough discipline to build a habit.
It's just long enough for it to stay.
Exactly. You pick the right habit, then you apply just enough discipline to get it on autopilot.
So, how long's that sprint? Because we've all heard that 21-day myth.
Yeah, that's not quite right. A big study in 2009 found it takes, on average, 66 days to form a new habit. 66? That's more realistic.
And the range was huge, from 18 to over 250 days. But the point is, you just need to hold on for that long, and then it becomes automatic. There's even a halo effect. Getting one good habit down leads to better choices everywhere else.
Line number 4. Willpower is always on will call. We act like it's this infinite resource.
And it is so finite. It's like your phone's battery, it gets drained all day, and you have to recharge it.
With sleep and food.
Primarily.
Yeah.
Which makes timing everything. You want to do your most important work when your willpower battery is full.
It's amazing how quickly it drains. That study about cognitive load.
The Baba Shiv study.
Yeah. Students had to memorize a 7-digit number. Just that tiny extra mental work made them almost twice as likely to choose chocolate cake over fruit salad.
A tiny load, and their willpower for good choices just collapsed.
And the parole board study is just, it's terrifying.
It is. Judges' approval rates peaked at 65% right after a break.
After lunch. And then they just plummeted to almost 0 by the end of the session. When willpower is low, you revert to the default, easiest choice. For them, that was just saying no.
Okay, line number 5. A balanced life. This sounds so good. It feels right.
It's idealistic, but it's not realistic. Not for extraordinary results. All the magic happens at the extremes.
So we shouldn't aim for balance.
We should replace balance with counterbalance. You're never perfectly in the middle. The goal is to swing out to the extremes for a bit, but never go so far that you can't find your way back.
And you have to be strategic about it. The author James Patterson had that great analogy.
The glass and rubber balls.
Right, work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it bounces back.
But family, health, friends, integrity, those are glass balls. You drop one of those, it shatters. So in your personal life, you go short. You don't stay out of balance for long.
But in your work life,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to go long.
You have to accept being out of balance for a specific period to achieve something massive.
Which brings us to the last lie, number 6. Big is bad.
This is that internal fear, right? That big success means big problems, big stress.
So you subconsciously sabotage yourself. You play small.
And you waste your potential. No one knows their own ceiling. Thinking big is about creating a leap of possibility. Look at Sabir Bhatia, who built Hotmail with just a few $100s to his name.
It was the size of his dream that mattered.
And here's the best part. Achieving a big goal requires growth. By the time you get there, you've become the person who can handle it. You're big too.
So once you've cleared out those 6 lies, you're ready for the main tool.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
focusing question. This is how you leverage that singular focus.
It reminds me of Andrew Carnegie, who said putting all your eggs in one basket is the right move.
Yes, and then watch that basket. But the focus in question is how you pick the right basket to watch.
Okay, so let's break it down.
The question is structured very precisely. It's, what's the one thing I can do?
Can do. So it has to be an actual action,
It has to be an action.
Yeah.
Then, such that by doing it,
meaning it causes the result.
it's the criterion test. And the final part is the key. Everything else will be easier or unnecessary.
That's the ultimate leverage test. That's how you find the first domino.
It declutters everything. 80% of the stuff you were worried about just falls away.
And you use this question to create a chain, right? From your biggest life goal all the way down to this exact moment.
It connects your big purpose to your present priority. You start with your someday goal. Then you ask, what's the one thing I can do in the next 5 years to get there?
And then this year, this month, this week, today.
And finally, what's the one thing I can do right now? You're lining up all your dominoes from the giant one down to the tiny one you can tap this very hour.
So how do you find a great answer to that question?
Great answers are almost always new answers. It's a two-step process. First, research and benchmarking. You find people who've already done what you want to do.
Stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah. Find the current high water mark. Then, step 2 is trending. You stand on that benchmark, you look forward, and you ask what's next. Is it more of the same, or is it a totally new direction?
So knowing your one thing isn't enough. You have to actually do it.
And that means protecting the time to do it. It all starts with aggressive time blocking.
Making a non-negotiable appointment with yourself.
And you have to block things in a very specific order. First, you block your time off.
That sounds backwards.
It's not. The most successful people see themselves as working between their vacations. You plan the recharge first so the work becomes sustainable.
Okay, so after time off, you block your one thing.
This is the big one. At least 4 hours a day. Minimum. Ideally, first thing in the morning when your willpower is maxed out, you have to treat it like it's surgery. No interruptions.
You'd have to be like a fortress about it.
You have to. Stephen King has his morning writing hours and the door is shut. Period. You have to build your own bunker for those 4 hours.
And the third block is planning time.
1 hour every week to review your big goals and ask the focusing question for the week ahead. It keeps the dominoes lined up.
Now, to make that stick, you need 3 big commitments. The first is mastery.
It's a commitment to being the best you can be. It's a journey, not a destination. And it proves that time on task will always, always beat raw talent.
Second, move from E to P.
From entrepreneurial to purposeful. E is running on your natural talent and energy. You'll eventually hit a ceiling.
And P is purposefully adopting new skills and models to break through that ceiling.
Right. You use the focusing question to ask, what's the one skill I need to master to break through? Then you time block your 4 hours for that.
And the third commitment is accountability.
Taking total ownership. Not blaming the market, not blaming your team. The accountable person just asks, okay, this is the situation. What can I do about it?
An accountability partner or a coach can be huge here.
It's one of the fastest ways to grow. They create that external expectation that pushes you.
So even with all that in place, there are still things that can derail you. The 4 thieves of productivity.
They will hijack your time blocks if you let them. The first is the inability to say no.
Oof, this is a tough one for a lot of people.
But you have to remember that every single yes has to be defended by 1,000 no's. When Steve Jobs went back to Apple, he cut 350 products down to 10. That's focus.
Second thief, fear of chaos.
When you're laser focused on one big thing, other things will get messy. Your inbox will overflow. Your desk will be a mess. You have to be okay with that.
You can't sacrifice the big goal for short-term tidiness.
The third is poor health habits. This is just about managing your energy. It's a holistic, spiritual, physical, mental energy.
And simple things like getting 10,000 steps, eating good food. It all fuels your willpower.
It literally is food for thought.
And the fourth thief, an environment that doesn't support your goals.
This is huge. The people you're around, the things you experience, it all has to support your one thing. Attitude is contagious. You need to create a positive spiral of success.
So, when you put this all together, what does it all mean?
It means success isn't really that complicated. It's about getting clear on your purpose, identifying your priority with the focusing question, and then protecting your productivity to achieve it.
And the biggest reason to do all this is to live a life with no regrets.
When you listen to elders talk about their lives, they almost never regret the things they did. They regret the things they didn't do, the inaction.
That choice to act on your purpose really comes down to one thing.
It comes down to faith. There's a beautiful Cherokee story about an elder telling his grandson that there's a battle inside all of us. It's between 2 wolves.
One wolf is fear, anxiety, doubt, inaction.
And the other wolf is faith. Confidence, clarity, action.
And the grandson asks the obvious question, which wolf wins?
The old Cherokee replies, the one you feed.
That's the decision right there. Which wolf are you going to feed today?
That choice determines everything.
So embrace the focusing question. Start lining up those dominoes and see how big you can live by going small.
Okay, let's just dive right in. If you think about, say, your last week, have you ever had that feeling that, you're trying to do way too much and somehow accomplishing, well, far too little?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost the defining feeling of being alive right now, isn't it?
It really is.
And it's a direct result of just abundance. It's
Mhm.
exhausting. I mean, the sources we looked at point to this staggering fact that we are just bombarded with more information, more choices in a single day,
Than our ancestors got in a whole lifetime.
in an entire lifetime.
Yeah.
And our systems, our brains, they just weren't built to handle that kind of input.
Yeah.
It just leads straight to overwhelm.
And that overwhelm is exactly what we are going to be tackling in this deep dive. Our mission today is to cut through all of that noise and find this surprisingly simple idea behind getting extraordinary results. It's all encapsulated in this concept of finding your one thing.
Right. And the whole philosophy behind it is, it's really about subtraction, not addition. Most of us think, oh, I need a longer to-do list, or I just need more hours in the day. But the real problem isn't a lack of time. It's that we feel like we have to do too many things in the time we actually have.
It reminds me of that old Russian proverb, which just puts it so perfectly. If you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one.
Exactly.
Success, it turns out, kind of strangely demands that we go small.
Going small is probably the most counterintuitive idea for anyone who's, a high achiever. It's not about thinking small, not at all. It's about focusing with this incredible intensity.
So it's about ignoring all the things you could do.
Right, the endless list of possibilities, and instead just ruthlessly focusing on the one single action you should do. You have to recognize that not all tasks are created equal.
So extraordinary results aren't just about, grinding it out and working hard. They're directly determined by how narrow your focus is.
Precisely. And that narrow focus is what unlocks what the sources call the domino effect.
Ah, the domino effect.
Yeah, we tend to think of success as this linear thing, right? You put one brick on top of another. But when you set the right thing in motion, your one thing, it just creates this massive momentum. It can topple so many other things down the line.
And this isn't just a metaphor, is it? This is actually rooted in some pretty amazing physics.
It is. Back in 1983, a physicist named Loren Whitehead, he discovered something incredible. A single domino can actually bring down another domino that's 50% larger than itself.
It's 50% larger. That's not linear. That's
It's geometric. It's a geometric progression. And the scale of this, it defies imagination. I mean, if you start with a tiny 2-inch domino, like from a board game,
Okay.
the results get colossal, fast.
So the sources have this great visualization. If you follow that 50% rule, the 10th domino in the chain would be almost as tall as Peyton Manning.
Already pretty impressive, right? But it just keeps expanding. By the time you get to the 23rd domino,
It's as tall as the Eiffel Tower.
the Eiffel Tower.
Wow. Just think about that. You start with this little 2-inch piece of plastic, and 23 steps later, you have something hundreds of feet tall.
And it gets crazier. If you could somehow line up 57 of them, the 57th domino would practically bridge the distance from the Earth to the moon.
That is just, it's unbelievable. But that's the power we're talking about.
That's the power.
So to get these extraordinary results, you have to find that tiny first lead domino in your life, your one thing, and just whack away at it until it falls.
And that's what starts the whole chain reaction.
Yeah.
Before we can even line up that first domino, we have to clear away some of the lies we tell ourselves, the things that get in the way.
Okay, so what's the first big lie?
The first one is the belief that everything matters equally.
Which, I mean, that feels so true when your inbox is exploding and your calendar is a mess. You think, if it's on my list, it must be important, right?
Of course. But the sources argue that we often substitute activity for actual productivity. Thoreau said it best, right? It's not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about?
Right. So where does the answer lie?
It's in Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
It started with the Vilfredo Pareto, an economist who noticed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people.
And then it got applied everywhere else.
Exactly. Joseph Juran applied it to quality control, calling it the vital few and trivial many.
And it really is universal. You see it in business and relationships. A small number of inputs creates most of the results. But finding the one thing, that requires something more brutal. You call it extreme Pareto.
Precisely. You don't just stop at finding the vital 20%. To find your one thing, you have to keep narrowing it down. What's the 20% of that? 20%.
And 20% of that.
You keep going until you're left with the single most essential priority, the one domino.
That's some serious self-editing. It means looking at a list of 10 important things and saying no to 8 of them.
It is. It's a constant process of asking, of all these things, what is the single most important action I can take?
Okay, so lie number 1 is that everything is equal. What's the next lie that trips us up?
This is maybe the most seductive one of the modern world. The idea that we can do it all at the same time. Lie number 2, multitasking,
Which is a complete myth.
a total fiction. Research is crystal clear on this. It's not efficient and it's not effective. One study on high multitaskers called them, and this is harsh, suckers for irrelevancy and lousy at everything.
Ouch. I think we all secretly think we're the one exception to that rule, though.
We do. But the problem is what's called task switching cost. Now, you can do two things at once, like walk and talk, because they use different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
But you absolutely cannot focus on two demanding things at once. Your attention just bounces back and forth.
And that bouncing around costs time and energy.
A massive amount. Dr. David Meyer's research found that task switching can increase the time it takes to do something by 25% for simple tasks and over 100% for complex ones.
So you could be doubling your effort just because you're distracted.
Exactly. And this isn't just about work productivity. This has real tragic consequences.
You're talking about distracted driving.
Yeah. The reporter Matt Richtel won a Pulitzer for his work on this. He found that cell phone use is responsible for a shocking 16% of all traffic fatalities.
16%. Wow.
And get this, it doesn't even have to be texting. Just a hands-free phone call can take a 40% chunk out of your focus. The sources point out that this is basically the same cognitive impairment as being legally drunk.
Okay, so multitasking is out. What's the next big lie we tell ourselves?
Lie number 3, willpower is always on will call. We just assume it's this endless resource we can tap into whenever we want.
But it's not. It's more like a battery that runs down.
Exactly. It's a limited resource that gets depleted with every decision you make all day. We all know this intuitively from the classic marshmallow test.
Right, with the 4-year-olds. 1 treat now, or 2 if you can just wait 15 minutes.
And the results from that were just mind-blowing. The kids who could wait, the high delayers, they went on to have much higher academic achievement, better stress management.
And their SAT scores were what, something like 210 points higher on average?
210 points higher. It's incredible. And now we know why physically. Willpower is literally fueled by glucose. Your brain is only about 1/50th of your body mass, but it burns 1/5 of your calories.
So when your brain is low on fuel, you make bad decisions.
You do. There's that Baba Shiv study where they had students memorize a complex 7-digit number, a really draining task. Afterwards, they offered them a snack. And the students who did the hard memory task were nearly twice as likely to choose chocolate cake over fruit salad.
Because their high willpower brain was tired and the instinctual, give me sugar now, brain took over.
Exactly. And it doesn't just bounce back. You have to refuel it. This also has a huge impact on our default decisions.
Right. What happens when we're just cognitively exhausted?
We default to the easiest, safest option. I mean, look at that study of Israeli parole judges. This one is just incredible. They tracked hundreds of parole decisions.
Okay.
Release rates would peak at around 65% right after a break, when the judges were rested and their willpower was full.
And then, as the day wore on,
The rate just plunged down to almost zero by the end of each session. Because as their willpower dropped, the easy default decision was just to say no. It takes less energy.
that is powerful evidence. And it gives us a clear strategy.
A critical one. Do your one thing first thing in the morning. Attack it when your willpower is at its absolute peak, because it's only going downhill from there.
Okay, so that brings us to the final lie, and this one really hits at the heart of our modern anxieties. Lie number 4. A balanced life is something you should strive for.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Because true balance, perfect balance, is basically impossible if you're chasing extraordinary results. I mean, think about the dominoes. To get that kind of momentum, you have to give a disproportionate amount of time and focus to one thing.
And time on one thing means time away from another.
This is where I think a lot of people might push back. Are you saying that to be successful, we have to neglect our family or our health?
Not at all. And that's the key distinction the sources make. The whole idea of work-life balance is actually pretty new. It didn't really show up until the mid-'80s.
Okay.
The reality is, if you want extraordinary results, you have to be out of balance in your work life. You have to give that massive focus time to your one thing. The alternative they propose is called counterbalance.
Counterbalance. So how does that work?
So while your work life is unbalanced, your personal life needs tight counterbalancing. You have to be super intentional about your spirit, your body, your family, your friends. None of them can be neglected for long. It's about shifting your focus intensely when needed.
So it's not about an equal pie chart every single day. It's more like you go hard on work for a period and then you intentionally counterbalance by going hard on family time or a vacation. Exactly. You allow for short-term imbalance to get massive results, but you manage your personal life tightly to make sure nothing collapses. It's a huge distinction.
Okay, so once we've busted these 4 lies, that everything matters equally, multitasking works, willpower is endless, and balance is the goal, we can actually move on to the habit that makes it all work.
The single habit that underpins everything.
The focusing question. This is the tool that turns the philosophy into action.
It is, and the question is very, very specific. The formula is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
I love that last part. Easier or unnecessary, it forces you to find the lead domino. But how do you apply that to some huge goal that's like years away?
That's where you use a process called goal setting to the now.
Mm-hmm.
You start with your biggest, fuzziest, someday goal, and you just keep asking the focusing question to drill down.
So, to hit my someday goal, what's the one thing I need to do in the next 5 years? And then you take that answer and ask again for 1 year and so on.
Exactly. You go from someday to 5 years, to this year, to this month, this week, today, and finally, right now, W. What's the one thing I can do right now?
And by the time you get to the present moment, you know the single most powerful action to take. It's brilliant because it forces you to visualize the process, not just the outcome.
Right. And to make sure that right now action actually happens, you have to use the ultimate productivity tool, time blocking.
If one activity gives you disproportionate results,
You must give it disproportionate time. It's that simple.
this means it has to be a non-negotiable appointment on your calendar. So what's the priority for blocking time? What comes first?
Okay, there are 3 priorities, and the order is critical. Number 1, believe it or not, time off. You block your vacations and long weekends first.
That is so counterintuitive.
It is. But the most successful people see themselves as working between their vacations. That's what recharges the willpower battery.
Okay, so time off is first. What's second?
Second is your one thing. You block a minimum of 4 hours a day for it, preferably first thing in the morning. And this is key. You work on event time, not clock time. Your work is done when it's done.
Like Stephen King, right? He writes every single morning no matter what until his word count is done. That's his block.
That's his block. And the third priority is planning time. Block 1 hour a week to review your goals and plan the next week. That's when you use the focusing question to protect your big block.
And none of this works unless you protect that block like your life depends on it.
You have to. The mindset has to be that this appointment cannot be moved. The mantra is basically, until my one thing is done, everything else is a distraction.
That really brings it all together. The whole idea is that purpose leads to priority, which then drives productivity.
Successful people link those 3 things seamlessly. And achieving that level of mastery really requires 3 final commitments. First, you have to follow the path of mastery. Second, you have to move from what they call e-entrepreneurial, which is just relying on your natural talent, to keeper.
So actively seeking out better models, better systems, even when it feels hard or unnatural.
Exactly. And the third commitment is to live the accountability cycle. You have to take total ownership of your outcomes and constantly ask, what's the next action I can take?
It all comes down to that singleness of purpose. But sticking to that path, saying no to so much, it takes a kind of faith, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Which brings us to that last really powerful image from the sources. The Cherokee tale about the 2 wolves fighting inside of us.
Right. One wolf is fear. It's anxiety, it's doubt, inaction.
And the other wolf is faith. It's calm, it's confidence, it's action. The grandson asks the elder, which wolf wins?
And the elder replies, the one you feed.
The one you feed. So as you sit down today to figure out your one thing, you're deciding right then and there which wolf gets your energy. That first domino is just waiting for you. Okay, let's just dive right in. Think about your typical Monday morning. Do you ever get that nagging feeling that you're trying to do way too much and somehow accomplishing almost nothing?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of being busy but not actually productive.
Exactly. Just spinning your wheels.
And it's really a symptom of modern abundance. Our sources, they all point to this idea that we are just drowning in choices. I mean, the amount of information we get in a single day, it's more than our ancestors saw in a year.
In a whole year. That's incredible. And that volume, it just creates this overwhelming sense of obligation.
It does. You feel like you should be doing everything.
And that is precisely why we wanted to do this deep dive today. Our whole mission here is to cut through all that noise and find a simpler truth, a path to getting, extraordinary results. And it's all wrapped up in this one idea.
The one thing.
Right. And the core philosophy is actually subtraction, not addition, which feels totally backward.
It does. Most of us think, oh, I need a better to-do list or more apps or if I just had more time. But the problem isn't a lack of time. It's that we try to cram too many things into the time we have.
I love that Russian proverb the source has brought up. If you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one.
It's so simple, but it's profound. It means success requires you to go small.
So what does going small actually mean? It doesn't mean thinking small, does it?
Not at all. It's not about ambition. It's about intense focus. It means you have to consciously ignore all the things you could do, all those endless options, and do the one thing you absolutely should do.
Because not everything matters equally.
Exactly. The most extraordinary results, they're directly tied to how narrow you can make your focus.
And that idea of a narrow focus, it leads right into this mechanism for success they talk about, the domino effect.
Right, which we all kind of get as a concept, a chain reaction. But what's key here is that success isn't linear, it's sequential. It's one focus thing, then the next.
One domino tipping the next one.
One domino tipping the next one. But what's so fascinating is that it's not just a metaphor. There's real physics behind this.
Yeah.
Back in 1983, a physicist named Lorne Whitehead, he discovered something pretty incredible.
Which was that a single domino can knock over another domino that's 50% larger than itself.
50%, not just its own size, but half again as big. That's geometric progression.
It's a compounding effect. So if you start to visualize that, the scale just gets, it gets insane really quickly.
It does. I mean, let's say you start with a tiny 2-inch domino, a pretty small first step.
Okay.
If you line them up, each one 50% bigger than the last by the 10th domino, which is only 9 steps in.
That domino would be almost 6 feet tall. About the height of Peyton Manning, as the source points out.
Right, and it keeps going. The 23rd domino in that same chain.
It would be taller than the Eiffel Tower.
Taller than the Eiffel Tower, and if you could somehow get to the 57th domino...
You'd practically be able to build a bridge from the Earth to the moon.
And that's the power we're talking about. The whole point is to find that first tiny lead domino in your life, your one thing, and just whack away at it until it falls. That's what starts the chain reaction.
But before you can even find that lead domino, you have to clear away some of the lies we tell ourselves, right? The things that get in the way.
Yes. And the first big one is the lie that everything matters equally.
Which is so destructive. Because when everything feels urgent, you treat everything the same. You're busy.
But you're not productive. You're just checking boxes. It's that old Henry David Thoreau quote. It's not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about?
So true. Checking off 30 tiny things feels good, but it doesn't move that 57th domino an inch.
The intellectual tool to fight this is Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule.
Right, from Vilfredo Pareto. He saw that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people.
And later it was applied to business, the vital few and the trivial many. The takeaway is that the universe is just not balanced. A small number of things you do will always produce the vast majority of your results.
You have to find your 20%.
You have to find your 20%, and then you have to get even more extreme. You take the 80-20 rule and apply it to that 20%, and then you do it again and again until you've drilled down to the absolute one essential thing.
The one domino, so that's lie number one. The second one might be even more common in today's culture. The lie of multitasking.
Oh, the siren song of the modern worker. It's such a lie. I mean, it's not efficient, it's not effective, and the research on this is just brutal.
They found high multitaskers were, what was the quote? Suckers for irrelevancy.
And lousy at everything. It was harsh. Because here's the thing. You can walk and talk at the same time. Sure, they use different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
But you cannot focus on two complex things at once. You're just switching back and forth really, really fast.
And that switching has a cost.
A huge cost. Dr. David Meyer's research showed that for simple tasks, you might lose 25% more time. But for complicated stuff, the time cost can be over 100%. You're literally taking twice as long to do a worse job.
Wow. And the real-world consequences are scary. I mean, the work on distracted driving.
Yeah, from Matt Rickshall. He found that cell phone use is responsible for 16% of all traffic fatalities. But here's the part that really gets me.
What's that?
Just having a hands-free conversation on your phone, it cuts your focus by 40%. And a 40% drop in cognitive function is about the same impairment as being drunk.
You're kidding.
No, when you're trying to multitask, you are functionally drunk at your desk.
That should be a poster in every office. Okay, let's move on. Lie number 3. The idea that willpower is always on will call.
Right. We think it's this endless resource we can just tap into whenever, but it's not. It's like a battery that runs down with every decision you make.
And the classic example of this is the marshmallow test.
Walter Mischel's famous study, he puts a 4-year-old in a room with a marshmallow, eat it now, or wait 15 minutes and get 2.
A tough choice for a 4-year-old.
A very tough choice. But the kids who could wait, the high delayers, their life outcomes were just staggering.
Yeah, the numbers are shocking. They scored, 210 points higher on their SATs on average?
210 points. They also had higher self-worth. They handled stress better. It all comes down to that ability to delay gratification.
And there's a physical reason for this, right? It's about fuel for the brain.
It's all about glucose. Your brain is only about 2% of your body mass, but it burns 20% of your calories. It's an energy hog. So as you make decisions all day, you're burning through that fuel.
Which depletes your willpower.
Exactly. They did that study with the students, right? One group had to memorize a 2-digit number, the other a 7-digit number, much more depleting. Afterward, they were offered a choice: fruit salad or chocolate cake. The depleted students, the ones who memorized the long number, were almost twice as likely to choose the cake. Their tired brain wanted the quick sugar fix.
That's fascinating. And it's not just about cake. It affects our most important decisions.
Yeah.
It makes us go for the default option.
That is the real danger. Look at that study of the Israeli parole judges. It's just incredible. At the start of a session, right after a break, the parole approval rate was around 65%.
Which seems reasonable.
But as the session wore on and their willpower got depleted, the rate dropped. And by the end of the session, just before their next break, it was almost 0.
0. So the prisoner's fate didn't depend on the facts of their case, but on what time of day the judge heard it.
Pretty much. Because the default easy decision is no. It requires less cognitive energy, so the takeaway is clear. Do your one thing first thing in the morning. Use your willpower on what actually matters before the rest of the day drains it.
Which brings us to the final lie: the pursuit of a balanced life. This is a big one.
Huge. We're told to find work-life balance constantly. But the sources argue that if you're chasing extraordinary results, true balance is impossible. You have to be out of balance.
But hold on, isn't that just a recipe for burnout? Just becoming a workaholic?
That's the key distinction. It's not about being workaholic, it's about being strategic. The idea is counterbalance.
Okay, explain that.
In your work life, you go way out of balance. You give a disproportionate amount of time to your one thing. But in your personal life, your health, your family, your spirit, you have to be extremely vigilant about counterbalancing. You can't let any of those drop for too long.
So you might work like crazy on a project for a month, being unbalanced.
And then you immediately counterbalance with a week of focused family vacation. You're never in perfect equilibrium, but you're always aware of when you need to shift your weight back to the other side before the whole thing topples.
I like that. Okay, so we've debunked the lies. Now we need a practical habit to actually move forward. And that starts with asking the right question.
The focusing question. This is the foundation. And the formula is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
And that question connects your biggest, most distant goal to what you need to do right now.
It's a process called goal setting to the now. You ask that question about your someday goal. Then you ask it about your 5-year goal, your 1-year goal, this month, this week, today, all the way down to this exact moment.
You're building that chain of dominoes, linking the far-off goal to the very first step.
And we know that visualizing the process, the actual steps, works far better than just visualizing the outcome. This question forces you to do that.
So once you have your right now domino, how do you make sure you actually knock it over?
Time blocking. It's the ultimate productivity tool. If one thing delivers most of your results, then you have to give that one thing most of your time, disproportionate time.
So you treat your calendar not as a place for appointments, but as a blueprint for your priorities.
Exactly. And you block things in a very specific order. Number 1, you block your time off first. Your vacations, your long weekends.
That feels so wrong.
But highly successful people work between vacations. It prevents burnout. Second, you block your one thing, a minimum of 4 hours a day, preferably in the morning, and you work on event time.
Meaning you work until it's done, not until the clock says 5.
Precisely. Like Stephen King writing in the mornings. That time is sacred. The rest of the day can be for the trivial many.
And the third block.
1 hour a week for planning time. To review your goals and make sure your big block is still pointed at the right domino. And you have to protect that block. Your mantra has to be, until my one thing is done, everything else is a distraction.
So this all flows together. Your purpose gives you your priority.
Which then drives your productivity. You have to link all three.
And to really master this, it requires a few commitments. The first is just accepting it's a journey, the path of mastery.
The second one is really interesting. It's about moving from E to P.
Explain.
E is entrepreneurial. It's when you rely on your natural talent, what feels easy. P is purposeful. That's when you actively seek out better models, better systems, better coaching, even when it feels unnatural or uncomfortable at first.
Because that's where real growth happens.
That's the only place it happens. And the final piece is living the accountability cycle, taking total ownership of your outcomes and always asking, what can I do now to move this forward?
It all demands such a singleness of purpose. And that journey, especially when you're intentionally out of balance, it must take a lot of faith.
It does. Which brings to mind that old Cherokee tale about the two wolves fighting inside of us.
Right, the elder tells his grandson there's a battle inside him. One wolf is fear. It brings anxiety, doubt, inaction.
And the other wolf is faith. It brings calm, confidence, and decisive action.
And the grandson asks the obvious question, which wolf wins?
And the elder gives that perfect, simple answer, the one you feed.
So as you sit here and think about your one thing, that's really the question, isn't it? Which wolf were you going to feed today? The one of distraction and fear, or the one of faith and focused action?